Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And before Thor jumps to level 80 and becomes an absolute powerhouse god, I wanted to test him out at level 70 just to get a pulse on how much stronger this uniform is without that extra upgrade. Now, we still have his base build on with a CTP of Judgment, so this is going to be a good run considering I have 25% Pierce and everything else. But I don't think Thor is proc friendly for the majority of players. I mean, honestly, I really don't think Thor is proc friendly, so I don't think it's worth unequipping the CTP and going back to an obelisk to check on something like that. He has a really long animation on 5 that you don't want to skip at the beginning, and then you also don't want to cancel out of the tier 3 because it now hits super duper hard. But there are a bunch of upgrades that this character has gone through since Herald Thor. Most notably, now you do not have to hold down the 4th skill. So this is one that I want to make very clear. You just press it, and then he does the animation. Now, you can cancel the animation if you want. You can play it out, but you definitely do not have to hold it. Now, you do want to hold on to the 5th skill a little bit. Can we get the burst damage? No. Okay, we were really close to getting the burst damage to skipping that phase. He's quite close there, but you do want to hold on to the 5th skill until at least when he holds up the axe, because that's when the lightning will rain down. So you can delay cancel 5. You should cancel 3 right after he slams Stormbreaker down to basically signal that he's going to be summoning the lightning. But you also want to consider opening with 5 if that's your thing, because it has accumulation. So sort of like Jane, there are a couple of different ways to play Thor. I'm not saying one is outright better than the other, but I am saying that if you cancel 5 too early, or if you cancel 4 too early, you miss a whole bunch of hits. And that is the primary reason why I think Thor is not so great with a proc, or with an like energy CTP, mighty destruction type of deal. I do think that Thor is going to excel, much like Iron Man, with a rage, but also potentially with a judgment. Now, there is a lot of talk as well about how much elemental damage you can cap out on, and some players saying that the cap of elemental damage being 250% means that he had like 1 HP left, means that you can't or you shouldn't give him a judgment once he's tier 4. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. I'm going to cancel into 6 here, show you guys the nice burst damage. Really good here. 4+ bars, way higher damage than his old 5th skill used to do. And we actually almost get the kill before Thor jumps in. So he does that in a blistering pace, about 2.5 minutes for stage 24, with basically no clutch support, just the insight of Colossus and the leadership of Beta Ray Bill. We'll go over the uniform options here. We have Gamora Requiem, Swordmaster Classic, Adam Warlock Infinity, Daredevil, Fall from Grace, and Emma Frost. So some very expensive uniforms, but all meta uniforms besides meta-ish, besides Swordmaster and Daredevil, and maybe Gamora, but still a solid leadership. So I'm okay with these uniform options. They're pretty good. Versus Ultron, I think, is where you're going to see one of the craziest increases in his damage. He outputs way more damage versus Ultron now compared to his old uniform. And it's a really impressive upgrade that Herald Thor just cannot compete with. So we know that Thor is good against Ultron for maybe some other reasons, but this clap-off damage and the constant pressure on Ultron to stop him from optimizing is really, really nice. So you can see here we're 30 seconds in. I know it's only stage 14 and we have double support, but yeah. The only downside is that now Thor doesn't have that 5th skill that you can cancel instantly, so you do need to use the 2nd skill to sort of fly by him. I did sort of a poor job of showcasing it there, but you want to use the 2nd skill to sort of, because it's exactly the same as it used to be, just sort of do like a drive-by, a Stormbreaker by, and just flash by him and then punish him like that. We're going to go ahead and cancel into 6. You definitely want to cancel into 6. The other big change for this uniform is that they updated the amount of charge he gets on the tier 3 from these skills. That's actually really important. It sounds really boring and it sounds like just whatever, but it's actually really important, because what it means is you can pop off the tier 3 more often, and when you pop off the tier 3 more often, you do more damage, and they increase the damage of the tier 3, so that sort of goes hand in hand with it. So you can see here we are less than 100 seconds into this fight, and we're already pushing Ultron to the end of his life. This is an insane buff for this particular boss. I'm not going to finish this fight here, but this is a massive buff for Thor. The comparison for Herald Thor is going to yield the following results. We still open with 3 and 5, but rather than waiting to cancel into 4, we go into 4 right away, but then we have to hold it down. Then you can see here that we actually still don't have the 4th skill ready, and we also still don't have the tier 3 ready. So we're forced to charge up the 4, do 3 and 5 again, and then pop off the tier 3. And as you can also tell, the tier 3 doesn't do quite as much damage. The only advantage that this uniform really has when Ultron is stationary is that you can use the 5th skill to interrupt him much more quickly, since that lightning comes down right away, and you can cancel out of it into basically any other skill. Now, we're still very close to letting him optimize here. Here you can see the tier 3 pop off without the full accumulation is kind of lackluster. So again, we're forced to hold. We're at full health at least, which is good. But yeah, this damage definitely pales in comparison to the damage of our mighty Thor from Love and Thunder. Now, you still use that drive-by 2, but in addition, you can also use the sort of drive-by 5. So the drive-by 5 is really the only advantage that this uniform has. But damage-wise, defense-wise, playstyle-wise, and healing-wise, this uniform is definitely a downgrade now compared to Love and Thunder. Last but not least, versus stage 35 of Mephisto, I want to highlight not only how much better Thor's damage is, but also how much better his survivability is, because by and large, the biggest criticism of Thor with the Herald Thor uniform is, oh, I have to hold the 4th skill to charge it up all the way to the end just to get the damage, or sorry, the heal, not the damage. You don't need to do that anymore. You can just pop off the 4th skill right away and cancel. Now, I'm stuck in the animation. That's an unfortunate thing, and I think that does happen on autoplay, where Thor does get stuck in the 5th skill animation for quite a while. But besides that, you can see here I'm at half health. I'm just going to pop 4 and then go into 6. Look at that. I'm full health. Not only am I full health, but he's flying through this fight. 45-second phase 1 is very, very good. Again, we cancel 5 when he raises his axe into 4 because we want to squeeze in that damage. You don't necessarily want to go into the 3 just yet, but look at this pop-off. Look at that crazy burst damage. The old Thor does not do this kind of burst damage on the 6. And you can see there, I squeezed in the 4 for an extra heal. So that change, I think, is going to be the biggest change and the best change for Thor players, is the fact that you now have this on-demand heal whenever you want, even if you cancel it. And then you also have the flexibility of not having to hold the 4th skill. Like, both of those things are true at the same time. You don't have to hold the 4th skill for offense either, because with the Herald Thor uniform, you needed to hold 4 to get the maximum amount of accumulation. Now Thor's accumulation caps out right away when you press the skill. Now, we did take a lot of damage here, but again, we heal up, 25% heal that we can pop off every 7 seconds, playing very aggressively, and already only 2 minutes into this fight, and we are cruising. Look at this pop off for damage. That's a weird square there, but look at that, 7+ bars of damage. Really nice. Pop the 5, pop the 4, and he just beats up on Mephisto. Awesome. Already 11 bars down. Okay. You only cancel 5 and 4 right away when you're going into 6, because 6 just has such good damage. You do not want to miss it. And of course, you have to press 5 before 6, because 5 has the accumulation that you don't have to hold or charge up or whatever to get the most out of. So there actually are a lot of changes for this Thor that could make him, you know, take you a little bit longer to get used to, especially if you played a lot with Herald Thor. He feels quite a bit different than Herald Thor, but a lot more snappy. So on second thought, I don't think the long cooldowns are actually an issue for him. It does give you a little bit of downtime in between procs. Like you can see here, I do have a couple of seconds where I'm just sort of hanging around. But on the other hand, you trade that in for insane damage. Versus a high stage of Mephisto is where you're going to see the biggest glaring weakness of the Herald Thor uniform, because Mephisto loves to chip you down with lots of hits, and having a heal that's available every, it's not even 10 seconds, it's like every 13 or 14 seconds, because not only do you have to wait for the heal to come off cooldown, but then you also need to wait for the end of the skill. So it's the skill's cooldown plus the end of the skill. So as you can see here, we're already at 30,000 HP, down from 120,000. My Thor is no slouch when it comes to HP, but even he is struggling to keep up with a heal that's available, honestly, realistically, every like 15 seconds. It's really just not enough. There's the heal. Yeah, it's just not enough. They really should have had this at the beginning of the skill, but we try to make the most out of it. I think we do get him down here on average. No, not yet. Okay, we're getting okay, we're at like 1 HP. There we go. So usually we're a little bit faster than this in terms of timing, but as you can see, the HP is really the issue here, and the heal being so, you know, yeah, I'm dead. I mean, yeah, you can play more defensively and then you don't lose as much HP, but then you lose more time. So you're basically just trading time for HP at that point. And as you can see, the Love and Thunder one is basically all offense and never has to rest because he can pop that heal off so consistently and so frequently. The last thing I want to test at level 70 is this new Thor on a dispatch-focused team. Thank you, but not right now. We're going to use the Crystal White Fox uniform so it's more accessible, and the old Valkyrie uniform, not the new one, because we want to focus on and see if Thor can carry this team, because he got quite a few buffs that make him better for dispatch. Not only does he have tons of AoE, but he now has Ignore Dodge, which is always clutch at level 70 for dispatch. We know he will be amazing for dispatch. Well, we think he will be at level 80 because he gets that huge bump in, you know, damage to dispatch minions, and he doesn't get dodged anymore. But they also increased his lightning resistance from -50 to -55, which will further synergize with White Fox lead. And then they added the lightning resist down to his third skill. So I'm curious if these two changes, plus all the other buffs that Thor gets, the increased damage on the tier 3, actually can make him a valuable addition to your roster for dispatch without even having to consider the level 80 upgrade. So jumping into the boss battle versus Moon Girl on stage 12-1, what I've noticed the most is that the damage seems to be lacking a little bit. The AoE is great, and the Ignore Dodge, the amount of times the Ignore Dodge text comes up in between the numbers is amazing. That means that the combined Ignore Dodge of Thor, White Fox's passive, and Valkyrie's passive is allowing him, and them in general, because it applies to all of them, except not Thor's passive, to hit most of their attacks, even though they're not above level 70. Now, we may be able to squeak this out. We may actually run out of time. I'm not sure. But keep in mind, this is with a Judgment CTP. Thor will do even better on this stage and other dispatch stages if you were to swap him over to a Rage, just because of the way Rage increases your damage and sort of punches through the defenses and just does more. But actually, we end up clearing it. So that's pretty good. I wouldn't say this is Loki level. He's not quite on level with his brother, but I would say this is a strong case for Thor, and I think this is going to mean that he will be very, very good for dispatch at 72, far eclipsing Moon Knight, and maybe competing with or outdoing Iron Man for sort of the best budget character to carry you through dispatch, if not Loki. So keep your eyes peeled for that content, but I just wanted to put this together for you guys to get a sort of look back on it before I rush ahead to level 80 Thor and rush ahead hopefully to tier 4 very, very soon with a super secret waste thousands of boost points strategy. But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Thor's new uniform and performance at level 70 tier 3. I think this is a worthwhile upgrade in my opinion, and I think it's definitely an upgrade and an improvement over the Moon Knight model, which I think was, you know, too weak for level 70, and definitely competes much better with Iron Man's rework from a year ago, comparing his, you know, superior uniform to his new one. This is the build here, just quickly. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.